Hello, and welcome to the We Get to Do This podcast. My name is Kaylee.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are your co-hosts.
In this show, we're going to dive into all things our lives, from our partnership to romance to entrepreneurship to growing our businesses together, our fitness journeys, and we're going to have a ton of different guests on that relate to what I just said in some way. We're hoping you enjoy the show, and if you do,
please feel free to follow us, leave us a 5-star review on wherever you listen to your podcasts, and enjoy.
And if you don't like the show, tough. Thank you.
Thanks. Welcome back. This is episode 8 already. It's wild.
Episode 8. I was talking to someone at Raw the other day, and they asked how many episodes we had out, and I said there's 7, and they went, "What? That's incredible," or something like that. Mm-hmm. I said, "We're weekly. Get on it."
I was going to say, if you haven't been watching, you better jump on board because we're cruising.
Yeah, we are. And we've changed our video again.
Again.
It will not be the last time.
So,
I'm going to probably look at the camera sometimes and then back at you, and I don't know what the move will be, I guess, but we'll see.
If you really want to get your point across and you get up close in the camera, get up close and personal. Yeah, we're going to go for the vertical look.
I think. Or maybe horizontal.
Maybe horizontal.
Ends up looking, but
we'll see.
We're figuring it out. Someday we'll have a studio and, a couple cameras, a couple mics maybe. And
if you want to sponsor us to get better quality of audio and visual, let us know.
Well, and the sound is the most important thing, at least right now.
Yeah, most people are listening.
Our YouTube videos get 2 views. So whoever's watching those, thank you. And I'd be curious to know who's watching the YouTube videos. So if you're watching them, shoot us an email
please
or
let
text
us know.
And let us know. How you feeling?
Tired.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of a wild week again for both of us. But you specifically, I feel as though really got hit this week and we're on the verge of being sick again.
Yeah. Yesterday.
What the heck? Get famous one time.
Yesterday, came home from work and felt some migraine symptoms coming on, which I haven't had in a little bit. I was feeling nauseous and just extremely tired, and fell asleep for a couple hours, took a couple-hour nap. And one of the things we want to talk about today is stress and balancing that with, running, and I think in our case, balancing that with work and entrepreneurship. It's definitely not an easy thing.
Careful of putting your foot on that.
It
shakes it a little bit every time you do.
Thanks.
Look, we're both learning. I was just doing that, and I was like,
for some reason, I like moving my legs a lot during this, and I don't even notice.
Yeah.
But so anyways, slept a lot. Then this morning did a 10-miler with some pace work in there and came home exhausted again and took another hour nap. Feeling better now, but still tired. And tomorrow I have a full day of teaching. It's a Sunday, which is why I wanted to catch up on some sleep today, because going from a full work day on a weekend to then back into a 5-day work week can be a lot. Even when it's things you enjoy. I think that's what I'm always learning, and people are always, including you, telling me to slow down, but it's hard. It's like, I love what I'm doing. I really, this week was really good, but it's still tiring. And I know I've talked about being an introvert before was I on episode 3? I think we talked about that, the Who Was Kaylee one.
Who was Bay?
And I need time to decompress and to not be super social. And with our jobs, we're kind of always on with people. Even if it's that we're doing fun things, it's just, where people are always asking about our businesses, our jobs, our life, which is amazing. And it's super fun to talk about it. But it's still draining. at the same time. And then I get to moments like yesterday and today where it's like, okay, now I need to chill for a little bit. Also, it's the first week back at Northwestern teaching, which is great, but just another added thing for the week. So, how have you been feeling?
Great.
You had a pretty big bike yesterday.
Yeah, I went and biked to Stillwater, which ended up being 69 miles.
Which was, yeah, you can determine why you did that on your own. Not intentional, right?
No, it was totally intentional. While I was talking to Caleb, and around mile 40 or whatever, I realized that I was going to be really close to 70. And I said to him, Caleb, the real question of today will be, does Jacob have the ego? Will Jacob be able to have the ego check to go straight back to his apartment and end at like 68.6 would have ended up being?
What's the answer to that?
Well, and then at mile 65 or whatever, it got dark and we were coming back, and Caleb actually guided me back because I know light for my bike. Learning a lesson. I don't bike at
you
night
should have
ever.
taken mine.
Well, I didn't. I have one somewhere, I'm pretty sure. When I got my uncle's bike, I think it had one. Anyways, so we were coming back and I said, Caleb, it's time for you to make a decision. This is going to be so close to 70, and it will take 8 more minutes to rip on another mile and a half. And, and then I thought to myself, do I really need to hit 70? And then I thought, you know what actually might be cooler than 70? And so, yeah, that's how we got there. And so I added a little tiny loop. And
such a boy.
Yeah, I'm a 17-year-old at heart, apparently.
Yeah.
12-year-old, I don't know.
12-year-old.
Both 5-year-olds sometime with my temper tantrums like supposed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I ended up biking about 107 miles this week total, which is the most I've ever biked in a week before. And it felt really good. I feel like volume-wise, I'm doing a lot.
Yeah, how much do you run?
I'll be at 50 on this, just like 50 point something. And with 2 lifts, it's going to be about 18 hours of working out this week. But the bike ride was 6 hours, of it. So it's not like I'll do a 6-hour bike ride every week. I think, it's all like aerobic, extremely aerobic. Zone 1 and 2, heart rates for most of at least 10 hours, I'd say, probably. It's been below 130, below 130, I would say. It's all biking, maybe less than that. So, I had the one day so far that had intensity. It was 4 miles of intensity. And then I had tail sprints too, I guess. So never mind. That was like the mile total though. So of all of everything I have done this week, roughly, I would say an hour of that 18 hours was very, very hard. That got my heart rate up a lot, Unless you count weightlifting too. That can get hard, but in a different type of way, So, yeah, I'm on like 95.5% split right now. I'm not even on an 80-20 split. So,
I think that's a testament into how you stay healthy.
So far.
Knock on wood. But I think you're very good at keeping the easy days easy. And I think that's something as runners, we all struggle with that.
Comfy days comfy.
It's like, okay, I know I can run faster than that, but should I be running faster than that?
Yeah. Well, I have ego too. Everyone does. And it is fun to run faster, right? And so a lot of times what I do is, and I go back and forth on this might change, but on days in which I know I will be taxing my body a lot, specifically my speed run days and my long run days, I give myself permission to, especially since I don't have a workout built into long runs yet, I give myself permission to push paces those days. So even warm up and cool down on speed days, I like when I do an easy effort, it's very rare that I'm running below 8:30 pace for any of my miles. But then I'll warm up and cool down days for speed work. A lot of times I'll start my first mile at 9, and then I'll run 8:20, and then I'll do the speed work. And a lot of times my cool down, I'll end up doing 2 8 flat miles, and then I'll walk for 5 minutes to cool down. So again, I go back and forth, but I really believe in easy days, easy, comfy days, comfy, not comfy, uncomfortable days, uncomfortable, hard days, hard, right? So yeah. That's what I do, and it's been working, and that's what Matt is big on too. And even with the cross training stuff, we talked about how it's very hard to overdo it. This week might have been a stretch because like a 70-mile bike ride is, but for the most part, with like how I incorporate biking, I'm doing like 20, 30 miles a week. So it's not an excessive amount. It's like 2.5 hours total usually. And because it's so low impact, and it's not like I'm on the bike going as hard as I can, like literally ever. It's pretty hard to overdo that. Running is very easy to overdo. And I'm sure if biking was my A1, it'd be very easy. Like whatever like the number one thing is I'm focusing on, I'm sure that'd be very easy to overdo as well. But it's good. Yeah. It's a good week.
Big week for you.
Yeah. I'm excited for CIM. I am in a much different spot than I was before Grandma's so far. It's just Caleb asked me yesterday about goals and stuff, and I said, stay healthy.
Have fun.
That's all that matters. Well, yes, but have fun. You know what I'm saying though. I said, I'm going to let the time stuff come to me. It's just like, I just want to keep doing this. I don't want to have to deal with the shit that I was dealing with last spring. And in hindsight, I could have done things differently, especially once I was injured. Accepting it sooner it was a good learning lesson,
Yeah. Well, it's all about learning. And I think both of us want to be doing this for a very long time. And that's where the stay healthy and enjoy it comes in.
Right.
Like it's okay to have harder seasons where you're pushing it more and doing more mileage. But at the same time, you still want to be staying healthy, thinking about like the future also.
Yeah. And cleaned up, I don't know if that's the right word to say that, but been really intentional about just eating, and with my background with that, which we might talk about at some point, I'm like probably 90% of other endurance athletes out there that have struggled with some type of disordered eating. And it's a touchy subject, right? But I feel as though I have a pretty good relationship with food right now, and not that, weight matters a whole lot. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say there, but I've lost 15 pounds since the Grandma's build. During the Grandma's build, specifically when I got injured and then I didn't run at all and kept eating not amazing and getting a little sleep and, different things like that. I got to like 218 that one day I told you. And I felt it. I just felt, I didn't like how I felt. I don't know. I didn't like how I felt. And again, then that moment was specifically when I had to really think about, again, with the disordered eating stuff, how I was going to go about, essentially trying to lose some weight. So that's been a huge project all summer. And I'm very happy with where I'm at now because I'm at 203-ish. So
proud of you.
Yeah. And it feels good. Better. And it's not even like I feel better because I'm lighter necessarily. It more so feels as though I feel better because specifically my stomach on runs doesn't feel like junk because I'm eating enough and I'm not, because when I under eat, I feel like garbage on runs. And then when I was overeating and binge eating and stuff, then I feel awful on runs too, right? So I'm in this kind of in between, and feels good.
I like what you're saying about feeling good though, because I feel like that's the type of relationship I try to have with food and exercise and everything. And instead of eating to be a certain weight or to hit a certain amount of calories or, hit these other benchmarks. It's more of like, I'm eating to feel nourished. I'm eating because if I eat fast food and junk, like you said, then you feel like junk. But if I'm eating nourishing foods, I'm going to feel good and my runs are going to feel better. And in turn, like if you are looking to lose weight and stuff, that typically naturally happens. And with exercise, it's more of like not having to do it to lose weight or whatever it is, but like I like to run and do things because it feels good. And I feel like when you can get that kind of relationship to exercise and fitness and food, it's a good spot to be. But it's definitely something that's taken me a very long time to get to as well.
It's ever changing too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what I think too is interesting is I used to think that I could just burn anything and then I could just eat. And what I've been doing a lot of this summer, thanks to you, I moved, right? 18 hours this week. I don't really feel like I ate any more this week than I did really last week when I did. I think I was like 11 hours. I probably did, but I just really tried to, which is very hard, but I've been trying very hard to listen to when I feel full. I'm really trying hard to just say, okay, you'll be able to eat again. It sounds like that didn't sound good, but you know what I mean? It's like we had Chinese food the other night, right? And I used to think, I need to eat this because I don't know when I'm going to have the opportunity to eat this again. Right? And then it ends up with me eating 5 more shrimps or whatever, right? But instead thinking I'll have leftovers tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And because I'll have leftovers, I won't have to prepare something else, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's different.
And that's even like the mindset that I have with drinking and stuff too. It's like, okay, right now in the moment, it would feel good to drink more, eat more, but how am I going to feel later?
Right.
And instead of thinking of it as depriving yourself, it's just, okay, what's going to make me feel good tonight, tomorrow, while I'm working out, and after that. So, yeah, I'm proud of you.
Proud of you.
Thanks.
Announcements?
So we got a couple comments and feedback from last week's episode, which is great. Please always feel free to send us comments, feedback, or anything about the episodes. If you have not listened to episode 7 yet, we talked about the superior races, and I kind of talked about some things with the 200 miler and about how, once you've reached that big goal in life, whether it be finishing a big race, retirement, you hit the top of your company, whatever it is, that thing that you've been working towards for a long time, like then what? And kind of how do you navigate that? So anyways, one message that we got, I'm going to read it quickly here. It says, "Hi Kaylee, I just got a chance to listen to your podcast as I'm driving. Just want to say that this week's one really hit home. I can relate to the feelings a lot with swimming. You put into words something that I dealt with, and I appreciate you being open about it. In 2016, when I was going for my Olympic trials cut, I went through a very similar phase with the sport. I don't think I ever really recovered fully from it, and I believe it was because no one talked about things like this. Still haven't been back in the pool in over 2 years, and I just really appreciate you being vulnerable and talking about this, because people do go through this, quote, PTSD, love, hate, and mixed feelings in sports." So,
wow.
Yeah. Who shared that? I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us, because, like, selfishly, my first thought was it validates my feelings, which obviously it feels good because, as I talked about last week, sometimes you feel alone in this stuff, and it's like, okay, is anybody else feeling the way I do? And, do I have anybody to talk about this to? And it's cool seeing this stuff to be like, okay, other people are resonating with this and other people are experiencing the things that we talk about. And yeah, it was just good feedback and validation to be like, okay, what we're doing is working and it's okay to be vulnerable. And hopefully, I feel like our generation is getting better about talking about stuff. Like even my friends talking about like abortion and things like that, like topics that people never used to really talk about. Yeah. Do you have any comments?
I agree.
So thanks for sharing that. And then I was just going to say, like, if something like this has happened to you and you haven't, gotten back in the pool, or for me, like, I'm not anywhere near ready to run an ultra again or whatever it is. I feel like in my opinion, I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to be like, okay, I'm ready to do this again. And I'll just know. Or maybe never. And that's fine too. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do any of this. And if it takes 5 years, fine. If it takes 10 years, cool. But we don't need to force these things. And I can find another thing that will make me happy. Like, I have the personality where I'm not just going to be like, okay, done with fitness and pushing my body. Like, I know that's not me. But I think it's just about finding your own joy and what brings you happiness. And even if it brought you joy at one point in your life, that doesn't mean that you need to force it now. No, that's okay. Which brings me to the other comment we got. This one says, in my opinion, I never truly arrive. Completing a certain distance or being awarded a certain title is certainly fulfilling, but my core value is growth. It was never really about completing 200 miles or becoming a CEO. It was about the process of growing into the person who could do those things. As long as I stayed focused on continual growth, the achievements are just benchmarks. And I really like this one because this specific human has also completed a few 200 milers, specifically Tahoe, Bigfoot 200, like some really badass 200 milers, which, like, if you don't know, like, Tahoe and Bigfoot, I mean, you're up and down, you're in the mountains the whole time. Like, these are extremely challenging courses. And he's also a CEO. So he has gotten like to the top of his company. And it just resonated with me because I like what he said about growth. And I think it is about growth. And we talk, like you and I talk a lot about how it is about the journey and how, a specific race or whatever it is just kind of like the cherry on top for all the work that you've been putting in. And yes, me completing the 200 was amazing. I'm very proud of myself for it. But I'm also just as proud of the time leading up to the 200 that I put into it. And it was more than just the couple months of like work that I was putting in every single day. It was the last, 10, 20 years of me putting in the work to get to that spot. And I think maybe I could have talked more about that in the last episode about how it's not just, hitting this distance or hitting this milestone and then you're just done. It's just, for me, I guess it's more of, okay, now where do I want to redirect this energy? Like knowing that this is just a milestone or a stepping stone into the rest of your life. And it's not like that has to be the end all be all. And this wasn't something that it was an accumulation of a lot of things in my life, but also it wasn't like the only thing that I've been working towards for my entire life, where now I'm like completely lost and being like, okay, now what? Like I have no idea where to go from here. Because I think that can even be like in a marriage. Like you see a lot of people who put all of this effort, like, you meet someone and then you plan your wedding and it's this whole thing, and like your entire relationship is built off of just like the wedding and getting married and then the honeymoon. And then after, it's like, now what? Now where does our relationship go after this and go from here? And I think that's why I do try to enjoy the moments leading up to those big things. We're not married yet, but I feel like we're very good at building our what?
Yet? Is there something you want to say? Is there an announcement you need to make?
Should I propose for the people of the pod? No, we're not married or engaged, but I think we're very good at building up our relationship before all those things happen. And that's, again, just part of the growth in the journey that I feel like we're both good at. And with CIM for you, I mean, you can speak to this, but, hitting sub 3, I don't even know if that's still your goal right now. You can talk about that. But like you just talking about like staying healthy, like that's your journey and that's your growth right now. And then CIM is just going to be, I mean, you can talk about it, but
I just think that becoming extremely clear on what it is you are trying to do in terms of your mission in life. Right? If you become clear on that, none of the other achievements and milestones matter as much. They still matter, right? But they become, like you're saying, roadmap blocks or whatever. It's a game, right? So I'm just very not focused on climbing ladders right now. Getting faster, doing more, picking up more clients, right? Like that's not the focus. And I don't mean to say I don't want to pick up more clients, because that's an announcement we're going to talk about today, actually. But I mean to say it as in, the goal isn't to pick up more clients. The goal is to build the community, and so that more clients will then ideally naturally kind of form to that. The goal isn't to run sub 3. The goal is to become the person that would run sub 3. The goal isn't to do a 200 mile. The goal is to become the person that can train and dedicate their life to covering 200 miles. Right? You know what I'm saying? So That's kind of the idea. And Grandma's is a good representation of what could happen when you get too focused on the one roadblock. Right? So that's how I kind of look at it. I don't think that works for everyone, though, either. I just think it works for me. It takes pressure off me. And again, it's at CIM. I mean, these next few races I have, right? TC10, Indy Half, CIM, right? That workout I did on Tuesday. Like, where the hell did that come from, right? So it's these checkpoints in which, let's go see where I'm at, right? If I go and run PRs for all of these, does it really matter what the number is? I'm better. Right? I just biked the first I've ever biked in my life, and I was completely fine today. Right? It's not, and again, we laughed about that number with 69 versus 70 versus 71. Like, again, it's like, holy shit, that's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm over 100 miles in the week. And like, yeah, there's sometimes it's fun to think about the numbers, but like, I don't know. I just don't. I'm in a phase right now, at least, where I'm very not focused on that. And that could be the impact initiative work I'm doing too, of just really diving in deeper on like my mission and vision. And,
I think it's good to have these goals, to run a 200 miler, to have a 100-mile week, or to, be running 50 miles a week for X amount of time. But I feel like at the end of the day, the underlying goal is to become clearer and clearer of the type of human that we want to be. And I listened to a podcast on my run today, and it was talking about becoming obsessed with whatever it is. And his was like running, and
is that toxic toxic hustle mentality right there coming from you?
No.
I'm just kidding. I love you.
I love you too.
Help the people that want to be helped.
Yes.
It's not toxic. I'm totally messing with you.
But yeah, like becoming obsessed with whatever it is. And right now we're both, I think, obsessed with becoming the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, there's a book called, I think it's, I'm gonna look it up so I have the exact.
Sorry, I need to plug in a laptop here.
The book title is Be Obsessed or Be Average, which could be looked at as extremely, that toxic hustle, whatever. And to sound rather blunt, right, that the people that want to better themselves are our audience, right?
Yeah.
We're, not to get into like balance like Taylor talks about, but like I don't really believe in that either. I do a lot of things that are a lot of fun, and I do them very hard. And yeah, I am totally cool with being obsessed. I really am. I think that there's levels. I think, becoming so obsessed in one specific thing, yeah, like that could, addiction, right? You can get, there's issues with that. My point, though, is that I don't think it's wrong with becoming obsessed with bettering yourself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't.
And I think especially when you want to do it with other people and like, build your community. And we always say, like you said, help the people that want to be helped. And I'm always like, whoever wants to come on board, like, great.
Yeah.
Like, welcome.
And the people that do, we have a lot of fun.
Yes.
Right? And
so we're not doing this to be like a solo person who's, climbing the ladder, like you said. Like, this is all about creating this kick-ass community of other people who also want to better themselves.
Yeah. Right. And that means different things for different people. Mm-hmm. Again. And there's a reason we don't talk about numbers very much. Like, we just don't. So far, at least. I don't care I really don't care how much you're running, how fast you are. I don't care how much you can bench press. Like, if I have a conversation with someone and one of the first things I find out about them is their PRs or something, and I didn't ask about it, it's just not something I really care about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that makes me sound like a poop face, but it just, like, it isn't. I'm more so interested in hearing about who you are as a person.
Yeah. How did you get to those PRs, or what was your journey to get there, and like what were your struggles along the way?
And like, I definitely do ask about PRs. Don't get me wrong. I do. But it's just not at the top of my list. And even with races, when I talk to people about their goals they have, when I meet someone randomly in like a run club or whatever, and we start talking about, I have this race coming up, I never really ask about the time. I guess I might say, what's your goal for the race? I guess in those situations, but I leave it kind of open-ended a little bit.
Yeah. Because, time goals can lead to you becoming better.
Right. They are benchmarks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are someone that needs that to kind of guide you along the way,
yeah, great.
I guess that's fine. I don't, I just think, and that's where becoming obsessed can be a problem. If you get so obsessed with one specific number, that's a...
Yeah, because then what happens when it doesn't happen?
Right.
Then where do you go from there? Like, are you a failure now?
Right.
No. Like, that's when you need to look back at all the training you put in and see, like, okay, I did everything in my power to get to that goal. And maybe I, didn't hit it or fell short. But does that make me a terrible human? No. You became better in that process. And now by not hitting it, you've like you've learned a lesson and now you have something to take with you, and you can try again or not. You can do something else, but you learned a lot along the way. And that's the important part.
Asking yourself 20 years from now if this is going to really matter all that much is an important thing too.
Right.
Wow, announcements took a long time. Yeah. So I guess this is going to be an announcements episode, but it's a lot of good content. So
yeah. Well,
do you have another comment?
Well, the other one that was commented was just about the, what do you do after becoming, like, hitting that bench stone. And I think somebody commented retirement.
Woo. So that's their, like, next bench stone and what they're going to do after that.
Yeah, because my parents are currently going through this with retirement, and it's a whole nother benchmark in life.
Right.
Something that you've worked towards, for the last, whenever you retire, 55, age 65, 70, whenever it is. And you've gone through a lot of life at that point. And then you finally hit retirement that you've been talking about for a long time. And then where do you go?
Yeah. We have no idea. We're not
retired.
So if you're someone that has some advice, shoot us an email.
Yeah.
And we'll read it off. I would love that.
So we're planning on being retired by, 35? That's the new Gen Z goals, right?
I mean, I've always lived. I'm trying to live a life I don't want to retire from. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just joking. We're not retiring for a very long time. I don't plan on
retiring anytime soon.
We like building
too much. I think
the
things will shift and what I'm interested in, right? But I don't know. I'm 26. Who the hell knows what I'm going to think when I'm 60?
We have a lot of working left to do.
Yeah. The other big announcement that I think is worth going over that I didn't actually say this to you, but I think we should, because this happened to you, I think, twice this week. But you had a client come in and ask you about, somehow it came up in conversation that them posting would benefit you by bringing on new clients. And they said, I wasn't sure that you were looking for new clients. Mm-hmm. Something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And I just think it's worth saying that both Kaylee and I are very much actively looking for new clients. So, from my perspective, if you are a runner or an athlete of any sorts, I would love to work with you in some capacity. So on the run side of things, this is our shameless plug. So if you made it this far, you get to hear this spiel. On the run side of things, on the run coaching side, if you're a runner looking for a community, B, trying to not get injured, mitigate injuries of some sort, or C, just looking kind of what we were talking about, working on bettering yourself in some sense, I'd love to chat. I think what we are building for Oak Endurance, and specifically the app and the community there on the run side, like within that app, right, with the monthly call, the one-on-one check-ins with me, I think it's sick. I'm really excited about that side of my business. And I'm actively looking for more runners. And especially as races start to taper down now, or as we get into race season, this is the time to, in my opinion, start looking at coaches, right? Because now we're starting to think about spring. And if you are going to do a spring race, in my opinion, planning starts now. So, and then on the personal training side of things, anyone that is looking for any of those three things as well. It's not exclusive to runners, though, I wouldn't say at this point. I'm very much interested in working with triathletes. I have a new client that's a basketball player that's starting with me this week. If that's something that you're interested in, I'd love to chat as well. I think that specifically on the strength training side, you can think about me as someone who, from like an exercise perspective, is very specialized and good at corrective exercise. So if you have chronic injuries, if you want to look at your gait, if you want to try to figure out things that have been bugging you for years, that's definitely my alley. If you're coming back from an injury, things like that. And if you're just looking for, a partner that's going to help you get better, I'd love to chat. And then group classes, Tuesdays, 6 p.m., Thursdays, 6 a.m., both at Real Active Wellness. Both classes of about 5 to 7
Yeah, nice small group, so you get very individualized attention at the group.
Yeah. And I don't actually want, those are the one thing, I don't want those to go up 10. So they're at a good number, but I would love to get a few more in both. And then gait analysis too. I use that as personal training now, so I don't really have that as a huge thing, but I do gait analysis. I'm certified through NDNA up to level 2. So if that's something you're interested in doing and learning about your gait and how you can potentially move more efficiently, it's not just running, but how do you get from point A to point B more efficiently? And, specifically as you age, as you run, as you bike, anything more, as the line goes up, your gait will change. You do not have, for example, if you are a 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old right now, if you are looking at the gait you had when you were 20 or even last year, it's different. So paying attention to that is very important. And you can typically tell if an injury is coming roughly 6 weeks out. So if you see me for gait analysis, but again, personal training, it's kind of mixed in. If you see me for that, you can see and get a benchmark of what your gait looks like. And then 6 weeks later from that, look at it again. If they're identical, you're in a good spot, right? If they're starting to change, and they will, again, with age and time, right? It's something to monitor and, pay attention to. So actively looking for clients, very much so. I think sometimes we forget to, people just assume that we're not, and we definitely
when
are.
Really we're busting ass over here to build.
Yeah, I'm definitely very much on build mode right now, especially as I'm doing just oak now. It's just full on. But you can talk about your services.
Well, I was just going to say for strength training too, I've been doing your classes twice a week now, just for even the last couple of weeks. And already I feel like I'm getting stronger again and feeling stronger with running. And we started losing muscle mass after 25, 30, something like that. So it's something that everyone can benefit from, whether you're, running 50 miles a week or 5 miles a week. And you can it's cool because you can also see just how your body changes in the process.
Yeah.
And I just feel better.
Yesterday after the bike ride, I got off and my back was all stiff and, back's a little stiff. The first thing I did today was strength train. My back feels great. Yeah. And I think that's something people don't know either. It's not the goal of strength training isn't to walk out of the gym stumbling. Yeah. It's to make your muscles stronger. And especially if you're an endurance athlete and sitting in certain position on a bike or pounding pavement, you are breaking down muscle and bone.
Well, and I was starting to get my upper back pain back again too. And I think that comes from, bending over with needling and different positions I do working on people. And I was coming home every day. It was just terrible, feeling knots in my back. And I don't even sit at a computer all day. Right. So I can't imagine if I had a desk job, what that would feel like.
Right.
And already in the last couple of weeks, it's already significantly better since doing that.
Yeah. So, so many injuries are just, and pain is so avoidable, especially if you start a routine on it now. Stress fractures are very common, right?
Yeah.
And they just don't have to be. They really just don't have to be. You might have the fluke where you hit something, I guess, but even in that situation, if you stub your toe really hard and you get a stress fracture, I would really like to know how much you're strength training and what's your diet like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We were on Superior and I rolled the crap out of my ankle and just immediately bounced back. Right. The elasticity was there. Right. Todd did that too. That he was talking about, and it's just things like that, and
that's why we're both very big into the preventative aspects of what we do.
Yeah.
And if you know anybody who can benefit from acupuncture, herbal medicine, Chinese medicine, also actively looking for patients. I'm very happy with where I'm at, but can always treat more people. And I'm specifically targeting endurance athletes right now. Kind of updated my website recently. And if with TCM and stuff coming up, this is a great time to be getting in. And I have some runners already who are coming in before race week because it can enhance your performance for your running. Like, it's more than just you have an injury. It's preventing that injury from happening and feeling your best while you're doing your activities. And then coming in after, because then you have your recovery. After you're going through very stressful moments, like running a marathon or 10 miler, you need to have like a come down after that. And I'm very big in helping to regulate the nervous system, which is part of what my services do. So, yeah.
And I would say both of us are very good at creating safe spaces.
Yeah, if you just need
That's
to
on
talk.
My mission statement, actually. It's on my website.
Yeah.
I meant more in like the community aspect. But yeah, if you need to chat. I don't need to market my services and sound like a therapist though either.
Okay. Well, part of my thing is to make people feel seen and heard. And
100%. I think that's both of us. I think we both do a really good job with that. And I think the classes specifically are so fun to see people start to talk to each other and just feel like they belong somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's...
And not have it be like a super intimidating like gym bro space.
Right.
Like, everyone is welcome. If you're benching, 500 pounds, which I don't think anybody does that, or 20 pounds, it's great.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Yep. Any other announcements?
I think that's it.
See, we just filled 46 minutes. We gave an update on what we're doing. We gave announcements. Next week, I say we can talk a little bit more about the stress side of things. I think.
Yeah, we didn't really hit that this week.
So we should record a podcast. And
we still have some guests coming on too. So stay tuned for that if you want to hear more than just Jacob and I talking, even though we are pretty fun.
Yep. We get to do this, episode 8. Thanks for listening. If you like the show,
give us a follow, like, and leave us a review.
Where are they reviews on?
You can review us on Spotify now. You can leave stars. Literally, it's as easy as saying like rate, and then you literally can put 5 stars on there. If you want to give us less than 5 stars, it's fine, but like talk to us first and tell us your feedback. And please. And then Apple Podcasts, you can leave comments and reviews, which would be very cool. Once we get some reviews, we'll read them out loud on the pod too. Or you can just tell us in person or text or message us. That's cool too. Anyways, thanks for listening, y'all.
We get to do this.
We'll be back next week.
Peace.